The movie begins in a well-equipped laboratory where a scientist is recording himself while he and his colleagues are carrying out scientific experiments. Later, the scientist has a nervous breakdown filming himself, panicking about the stress he has going through to crack his research of making humans important through digital means. The scene changes and we hear a background voice speaking about how continuous disasters had caused the collapse of civilization. A visual of a city in ruins is seen where two men holding guns and wearing gear are walking around, checking out the place. The younger man asks the chief if there was a solar crisis, and the chief guarantees that there was one, explaining that as the reason for all the fighting. Entering their jets, the two men fly out, communicating on their radio about the trip they would be taking to the moon. Flying to the moving mountain project, they observed the giant engine that was being built. The pilots finally arrive at the base, where hundreds of other pilots would join up to head to the Lunar project. Heading into the cargo gate, the pilots head to the Arch space station by using a high-speed rocket elevator that propels them upward. In the following days, the pilots undergo several different training types to prepare them for their mission. One of the pilots, Li Peiqiang, seems to be infatuated by a female colleague with exceptional fighting skills. One morning, Li Peiqiang sneaks in a bouquet of red roses to surprise his crush, Han Duoduo, but feels too embarrassed at the last moment. Suddenly, the alarms in the entire facility begin to blare as the field control realizes the systems have been hacked, witnessing hundreds of drones fly out on their own. The drones then assemble and launch an attack on the facility. To protect the Arch, hundreds of jets are launched to take out the drones before they could cause irrevocable damage and set back progress. In the launching cabins, Li Peiqiang and his teammates have fallen under the attack of terrorists who steal their identities. Managing to get out of his trapped seat, Li Peiqiang opens the door to the other cabin and begins to fight the three intruders on his own. Entering a tasking struggle with one of the intruders, Li Peiqiang desperately attempts to stop the man from exploding the cabin. Seeing Li Peiqiang struggle, Han Duoduo launches herself through the window separating the two spaces and punches the attacker in the face, causing him to fly across the room. Although they had managed to subdue the rest of the imposters, the facility below and the cabin shook as another attack brought the space station crashing to the ground. In the aftermath, the place is engulfed with fire and destruction as thousands of people attempt to save their colleagues. Thousands of people had been killed and thousands more were injured, causing devastating setbacks to the project. After the incident, the number of riots begins to grow as society begins to support the idea of digital life. At an international summit, Zhou, the chancellor representing China, is sitting next to Mike, who has lost faith in the mountain project and does not believe the feasibility test could be conducted in just 7 months. Determined about their future, Zhou tells Mike that they will never give up until they see humanity thriving in a new solar system once again. After an extensive meeting, most of the countries backing the mountain project back out, leaving China alone to complete it. On the station built on the moon, Tu Hengyu wakes up from a long slumber by the blaring of alarms in the cabin. Getting up from his pod, he staggers to the control center and pulls out the intelligence quantum computer, contacting his young daughter back on Earth. After a quick call, Tu Hengyu heads out to accept new guests who had arrived from Earth. Once all the astronauts are gathered, they are given a brief that the 7 months corresponds to the next solar eruption, which could affect the electronic equipment, causing the lunar project to be paused for a year. Therefore, they must ignite the lunar satellite engine to give Earth an answer. Heading out to different sectors, Tu Hengyu and his colleague Ma Zhou begin to activate the models and are happy with the results. Returning to one of the cabins, the two scientists begin to discuss their project and hear the announcement that a solar flare will be arriving in 4 hours. Later, Tu Hengyu makes another call to his daughter, which Ma Zhou notices. After a brief inspection, Ma Zhou realizes that Tu Hengyu is using an AI to simulate his daughter. Shutting off the computer, Ma Zhou tells Tu Hengyu that their research on digital life had been permanently banned. As he sat there devastated, Tu Hengyu remembered the day he lost his family to a car accident and was forced to update his daughter's mind to the atomic computer. Tu Hengyu begs Ma Zhou to help him give his daughter live a full digital life, but Tu Hengyu refuses, telling him not to push his act of sympathy. Later, the group attempted to transport the 550C generation atomic computer to a different facility when a solar flare attacked their equipment and destroyed their last hope of igniting the engine. During a meeting, Tu Hengyu comes up with an idea and gives him the computer he uses to revive his daughter's digital self, using this as a precondition to be involved in all other 550C-related research. Once Ma Zhou agrees, Tu Hengyu connects the computer to the engine and completes the trail. Following the lunar trials, Earth makes its first moving mountain project trial, and the whole world is excited when the results are successful. Encouraged by the success, the world begins to believe in the project again, and the work continues with increased vigor. As the years go by, solar flares increase, resulting in the increase of cancer patients all around the world. To speed up the process, many lose their jobs to robots, creating tension in society. In 2058, the world continues to experience several cyber attacks, unlike none that had been since in previous years. The Lunar Exile project is ready to be initiated, and the news is announced all over the world. Li Peiqiang and Han Duoduo had been married for several years and had a son together. One afternoon, while enjoying the time together, their son accidentally pulls off his mother's wig, revealing her bald head due to the cancer. Quickly putting her hair back, Li Peiqiang hugs his wife, feeling devastated about her developing sickness. The following day, Li Peiqiang goes to an evaluation where the quantum computer checks his stress test and other feasibilities to check whether he is a good candidate. When his family's situation is mentioned, Li Peiqiang is unable to control himself and acts erratically, causing him to fail the test. After seeing the sad reaction, Tu Hengyu is reminded of his own family and the loss he had experienced. That night, Tu Hengyu breaks into the facility and attempts to upload his daughter's digital life into the 550C generation computer, giving his daughter a full life but creating the lunar crisis. As soon as the new upload is complete, it forces the moon engines to overpower and explode, leading to a worldwide panic as it would cause the moon to spin out of its orbit. As soon as the crisis is announced, Li Peiqiang is called into duty. Before he leaves, Li Peiqiang buries his wife and sends his son to the underground cities with his father-in-law. After witnessing the devastating incident on the moon, scientists determined that it will completely disintegrate in 50 hours. The pilots who had been called back to duty are called into an assembly and instructed that a few of them will undergo a mission to place a nuclear bomb on the moon. Amongst the chosen pilots was Li Peiqiang. The plan was to get all those pilots to carry the nuclear weapons close to the moon and connect them so they explode at the same time, causing the moon to cave into itself. The third step was to restore the root servers, which will restore internet connectivity and ignite the Earth engines worldwide, allowing the planet to start the new voyage. To restart the internet, Ma Zhou recruits Tu Hengyu, who had been imprisoned for his treasonous act, and the team they had gathered dives into the ocean-engulfed city of Beijing. While entering the center, an accident causes the group to lose one of their members, as he suffers a large object falling and injuring him. Meanwhile, Li Peiqiang and hundreds of other pilots are dropping atomic bombs on the surface of the moon to initiate the explosion. During the mission, Li Peiqiang's ship is hit by an asteroid, causing it to crash. Gathering up his crew, he transports them to a different ship and returns to place the 5 warheads on his own. Earth only has a 30-minute window to detonate the moon, as it is too close to impact, but the scientists are concerned that 13 warheads have yet to be placed. A few minutes later, rubles from the fracturing moon begin hitting Earth, causing distractions all over the world. While struggling to restart the internet, the Underground Institute is hit by asteroids that cause the building to shake and collapse. During the incident, Ma Zhou is trapped under a piece of fallen equipment and is unable to move. Tu Hengyu desperately tries to help him, but he is unable to get through the cracked door, forcing him to watch his friend drown. In the facilities, the scientists have no other choice but to initiate a manual explosion and ask for 300 volunteer pilots who are willing to give up their lives for the mission. As soon as the news was announced, the lunar pilots, who were from all over the world, aged over 50, volunteered their lives, offering themselves so the younger generation of pilots could prosper and the Earth could be saved. On the moon, Li Peiqiang places his last warhead and watches as hundreds of ships arrive, carrying more nuclear weapons. On Earth, everyone is on edge waiting for Beijing to come online, putting the faith of the world into Hengyu's hands and his ability to connect to the internet. People all over the world gather with their families, praying for their salvation as the end seems imminent. The lunar pilots sit ready for the countdown to fulfill their mission, and they all press the explosive device at the same time. A sudden burst of bright light washes over the surface of the moon, the power of the explosion causing the entire surface to cave in. Although the mission is successful, Earth is unable to start the journey because Beijing is still offline, leading to its destruction in 3 days. Just as he is about to drown, Tu Hengyu uploads his recorded digital self into his daughter's quantum computer, allowing him to be with her forever. As soon as he emerges in the digital space, he sees his daughter and they embrace. After she fills him in on what is happening, he quickly tries to restore the connection right before the countdown ends. Although many around the world, including the world leaders, had their doubts, Zhou remains optimistic and orders the engines to ignite just as Tu Hengyu completes the connections. All of the engines immediately come to life as power is restored to them, lighting up Earth and pushing it into motion. People all over the world celebrate their survival as the news that Earth was saved reaches their ears. The Earth says its goodbye to the solar system as it begins its journey to find a new home. In 2065, humanity continues to survive, and humanity has begun to thrive as they were able to finish the remaining 3,000 Earth engines. The world leaders announced that start from that day, the Earth was entering slingshot acceleration stage, which would last 10 years. The whole process will last 2,500 years, spanning over 100 generations, but it was a guarantee that humanity would live on. And with that, the movie ends. We hope you enjoyed our video. Watch the next recaps on the screen, and don't forget to subscribe for more amazing recaps. See you in the next one.